Good morning, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. Life has been feeling pretty darn stressful and overwhelming lately, and I tend to turn to the garden when I'm seeking solace and comfort and looking to rekindle the energy that I need to keep going forward in life. So I thought I'd show you around my spring garden right now in Portland, Oregon, Zone 8B, what is looking lovely, what is giving those signs of spring, and what is helping give me a sense of purpose and energy right now. Here you can see the plum trees are in full bloom, as well as the pear trees. This is a time for the pollinators to be feasting, and for us as well to have a feast for our eyes and our soul. So many things are in bloom. Some of the plants that support my fruit trees are also beginning to flower. Here you can see a lovely spicy clove currant. The reason that I planted this clove currant directly out my front door is that I love being greeted with the decadent aroma, spicy and aromatic, almost like a chai tea as you come out the front door. I'm such a huge fan of this Hudson's Golden Gem apple in my front yard. The buds are so beautiful and stand out against the lime green leaves. They will open to a pale pink and then eventually produce a startling yellow, russet, delicious buttery apple. The flush of warm weather has my perennial tree collards beginning to flower. We've been clipping the buds and cooking them in stir fries for dinner. It really feels like the beginning of spring when my pawpaw trees begin to bud. I'm so excited to have them flower. I love the ritual of hand pollinating them in the spring. Below the pawpaw, my Turkish rockets have all emerged from their dormancy. It's really hard to not have your spirit uplifted when you are standing underneath all of these beautiful blossoms and the promise of heavy crops of fruit later in the year. Back in February, I pruned this climbing rose, and I am noticing that it is getting new foliage emerging, and I'm so excited for the blooms it will produce later in the season. The Oregon curl-free peach has begun to open its scandalously pink blossoms. This is a short-lived tree. I think having a peach tree is a good lesson for accepting impermanence in the garden, accepting that not every tree is going to live 100 years, and that's okay. We can enjoy it in the moment, enjoy it for the time that we have it in our garden. Let's take a look at a part of my garden that doesn't get featured all that much on this channel, my side yard garden. It is a shade garden, and this is a part of the garden I tend to gravitate toward when I'm having a hard time and I just want a few moments of peace and quiet. It's a really tranquil space, a very narrow area full of shade-loving plants like this Thalictrum, one of my favorite garden flowers. I've only ever purchased 2 hellebores. Most of the ones you see in my garden are seedlings that have self-sown. Not everything in a permaculture garden has to be a food or fiber or medicine producer to have value. Hellebores are a flower I cherish and enjoy very much. More pawpaws thinking about blooming in the near future. I'm so excited. Even this pawpaw in full shade is very happy. They do love the understory. Here you can see my epimediums. I'm such a fan of these in a shade garden. I love how bouncy they are. They just feel whimsical and happy and take up such an unobtrusive lower layer in a shade garden. Here you can see my new dwarf Korean lilac that I rooted from a cutting. I've added quite a few more pots in my garden as a way to honor my mother, who loved potted gardens. She had tons of beautiful things in pots. The purple tree collards are almost as tall as I am now, and I love letting some of them go to full flower to provide food for bees and hummingbirds. So I get a yield of food, I get the enjoyment of watching wildlife be able to get food out of my garden as well. Although lilac blossoms are technically edible, I grow them for the beautiful display they produce and the aroma that they bring everywhere, perfuming the entire garden. I'm so excited to see my lilacs are loaded with buds and promise me a beautiful display here in the next few weeks. The gummy berries, however, are already showing off their delicate little pale yellow blossoms and providing lots and lots of food for our pollinators. Thank you for taking an early morning walk with me through my permaculture garden here in early April in Portland, Oregon. I hope you'll come back soon for more permaculture gardening. Thanks.